Pharaoh over at Pharaoh Academy. I'm going to talk about some etiquette of Jiu-Jitsu, especially in traditional Jiu-Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with the gi, and then what to expect on like your first day, first week type stuff. So first off, to call your instructors or black belts, I was always told you use professor and then their last name or first name, doesn't matter. Just put professor in the middle, in the beginning of it. I mean, that's just the traditional aspect of it. It's just respect. You know, you're just giving them respect. Two, you should always be respectful for everybody that's on the mat. Just anybody that's around you, you know, you gotta just blend in. You gotta be comfortable at first. That's gonna be the hard part. That's for everybody's part, is just feeling like they belong here. Jiu-Jitsu is very, very complicated. So the first day, first week, first month, you're gonna feel very, very, I don't know, you should feel out of place for a while. But that doesn't mean you should feel out of place by the school you're at. You should be welcomed. Some parts in the etiquette that I don't talk about a lot. I do have it on a picture on my wall, actually. Just like when it comes to Jiu-Jitsu, no finger grabbing, obviously, unless you got the 4 digits. No grabbing inside the gi like this with 4 fingers. Be mindful of chokes. Don't go for 100% on any submission, you know, because we're all training partners. We're not going to get anywhere in the sport without our training partners and a good coach. So that's very, very important. And usually before you compete, you should talk to your instructor just so they know that you're competing or that you want to compete, which I don't really have an issue with at my school at all. It's just something in the etiquette that, again, that I don't talk about a lot. It's just like a respecting on both ways, and the instructors should respect the students. Now, as far as being welcomed into the school, you know, a lot of that has to do with the students too, but you have to have skills to make the person feel comfortable when they walk on in. And that, again, that's on the school, that's on my job to do for the most part. Even if it's busy, I have to designate a few students to make them feel comfortable at first, or I gotta be there to talk to them before class so they don't feel awkward. And then pairing people up is very important. You wanna put them with somebody you know. And that's just the biggest thing, you know. When you come in, don't have an ego, because that's just not gonna last. I've been in the sport a while, 15 years, I think, 14, 15 years, and I've seen a lot of egos ruin people's, you know, possible careers, a lot of wasted talent because of egos. That is probably the biggest etiquette thing I could even speak about, especially just going to a jiu-jitsu school. You know, in MMA gyms, you're gonna see a lot more of that. You know, people wanna just come in and just fight without it knowing anything. That's just how, you know, that's what's gonna happen at some of those gyms like that. So regardless of all that, when the etiquette's always gonna be different at other schools, but in the jiu-jitsu community, it should be, you know, closely resembled depending on where you came from, who your instructor was, and just what your roots are, your lineage from jiu-jitsu. All of that stuff's very important. Bring sandals when you come here, or any school, or like flip-flops, because you don't want to wear shoes. If they have like designated walkways, just bring like an extra set of clothes. Wear a shirt underneath. Wear shorts, obviously, underneath the gi, whatever they give you to rent if it's your first day. If it's no gi, try to do a rash guard. You could do gi pants, or you could do like the leggings. And I tell people, especially just cover up as much skin as you can, just for less diseases. You know, like staph and ringworm, MRSA. But a clean school shouldn't get that anyway. But you never know where somebody could be bringing anything in with. As far as like gi, it's you know, I would say there's less sweat on the mats just because it's inside our clothing more. So I would say it's a little more cleanlier in that aspect, but you still gotta, keep all those safety measures. I'm trying to think of other few things of etiquette. Higher belts, you got to respect the higher belts, but as a higher belt, you got to respect the younger belts too. Respect the person you roll with. That's the important part that people don't survive a lot, is because they don't respect your training partners. You don't have to go every match and try to win. Okay, I get it. If you're competing, you're gonna tone it up a little bit. When I roll, a lot of the times I'm thinking of point systems, just because when I compete, I do a lot of point systems. So I want to be on that game when I'm rolling. But then sometimes if I'm doing no-gi, I'll be looking for just straight submissions with a lot more submissions, and just more leg locks. Again, when you do leg locks, if you go to a traditional gi school, depending on your no-gi classes, you shouldn't be throwing heel hooks and stuff like that. For me, I teach heel hooks. I teach everything to even my white belts, just because I feel like it's important for us to know it. And that goes as like respecting your opponent. If you know how to do a heel hook, and then you know when to stop. If you know and you got to know how to defend it. And then you know how to stop. People get hurt because they violently roll. And it just with any submission. You shouldn't be cranking on any submission until you get to that higher level. If I'm rolling with, say, a good purple belt, brown, black, there's going to be times where we're going at it and we're not even going to have time to tap, but we know that we shouldn't hurt each other because we know when something is in, if that makes sense. When you're new, as far as etiquette, go as hard as the person goes. Just go light. No one should throw you into rolling anyway. You should come in, do basic, whatever, how to get out of the mount, arm bars, whatever they're doing that day in class. Me, I do stuff differently. I have a goal that I put in my mind for any new person to try to get them to catch up with us. As far as hygiene, you have to have an antibacterial soap. I always would carry Lysol with me. Hand sanitizer, especially with, sicknesses going around, and we don't want to, especially when COVID hit, we all had to up our measures even more. And that's just stuff we should be doing anyway. And to go back to etiquette, this is something that people forget, is trim your nails, trim your toenails. People don't want to go home looking scarred up. That's not a good impression for a new guy or girl to come into a academy and start cutting everybody up like Wolverine. We've all been there. Deodorant is important. Mouthpiece, that's something you could talk to your instructor about, talk to the students about. You shouldn't need it the first day, especially if you don't know what's going on. I'm not talking about you're an NCAA champion wrestler going to Jiu-Jitsu school. I'm talking if you're fresh going into Jiu-Jitsu. So a lot of that is important. And what you should have inside a bag is kind of another cool thing to do. What you have inside your bag, it should be an extra pair of clothes. It should be a cup, mouthpiece. If you're gonna do stand-up at all, always bring wraps. Have an extra gi on you. Have an extra belt on you. That's stuff that we should always have. I'm trying to think. Wrestling shoes if you need them. For eventually, if you want headgear. So just know what you want in your gym bag. BCAAs. You gotta take care of your body after that. So that this all goes into, it's a lot, but it all goes into like your first day, into your first week, into your first month. You have etiquette. You have how to treat your training partners, how to even talk to your instructor about it. And a lot of times the higher belts should tell the lower belts too. And it's not, some schools might go to extreme with it. I'm pretty comfortable, but at the same time, I trained hard for this belt, and we just want the respect, and just like anybody that walks in the door gets the same respect. And that's why jiu-jitsu is so good, because it should be a family. I try to make it a family atmosphere, and I believe everybody should try to make it a family atmosphere. As much as it's a business, you know, in my eyes, you can't really look at it as like that as much, because your students kind of feed off of that, and I don't want my students to think that they're just money symbols to me. And that's part of my etiquette towards my students is I'm gonna teach them. I'm not gonna be super strict, but at the same time we're gonna have rules and we're gonna follow them. And that's why, you know, knowing this etiquette will help going into it. Once you get more comfortable, yeah, of course you're gonna mess around sometimes on the mats and stuff, but the one huge thing that people have to do is when the instructor is teaching a technique, just don't talk. Just be quiet, because people are trying to listen. You know, just because you know it doesn't mean the other person doesn't know it. And it's tough because you hear chattering and you don't want to talk over that. That was one of my pet peeves a long time ago when I first started opening, is people talking during it. So it's very bad etiquette for the student to have. Don't be doing that, especially if you're new. And then, you know, again, if I have social anxiety, so I didn't even want to go to jiu-jitsu, but I walked in one day because my friend's like, you're going in. This was when I was still in the Marines. They're like, you're going in, you're going to that class because you've been talking about it for months. And I went, I got over it, and after that day, I never stopped. And I know I've told that story before, but, and that was in North Carolina. That school had different etiquette because it wasn't a traditional school. It was more of a mixed martial arts school. I think I even called my instructor. He was a purple brown belt at the time. We didn't call him professor. We called him sensei, because he was a black belt in karate, and that was like his thing, but he started doing jiu-jitsu. But I just did what I was kind of told with the etiquette type thing. And then when I came to my school, Christian Uflackers, is when I learned more and more etiquette, like the traditional values of, okay, straight from Brazil, you know, and it's discipline, and it's important for the kids. You know, this country's a little crazy sometimes. So you have these kids, if the parents are busy, have them come in here. It's our job to kind of instill discipline on them and have them learn, yeah, you got to follow rules, just have respect, stuff like that. And then that carries into their adulthood. I'm trying to think if I forgot of any other etiquette that I usually go over, anything that I don't usually tell my students. But I think I touched base on most of it, and I hope this helps people. Just go to a school, don't be nervous, it will be okay. You'll be paired up with somebody that's not gonna kill you, and just learn. Go there to learn, don't go there to think, you know, you should feel out of place. An armbar should feel like I have no idea what I'm doing. That's fine, okay? But you have to continue on going, okay? So that's the biggest thing. Just come here, smile on your face, you train hard here, you learn. You treat your instructor good, you treat everybody in your school good, and that's how the school grows. And then make sure your gym bag is filled with everything. Don't forget the Axe spray, even though that's not going to cover up the deodorant, but make sure you get the Axe spray. Defense soap wipes. One of my sponsors, Defense Soap. I have used that soap for 6 years straight. Haven't had even one set of ringworm. Actually, I probably haven't even had a set of ringworm in over 9 years, to be honest with you. But that's why antibacterial soap, any type of cleaner, the wipes right afterwards, right after you train. Don't let it sit on your skin by the time you go home. And stay after class, help clean the mats, and that's how you get it to grow. And I hope this helps some people get the courage to come on in and be a little more prepared on what I should bring to the first day of jiu-jitsu.